So, Jessica, Taiwan is not at the Shangri-La Dialogue, but we've heard a number of countries talk about the need for this maritime security in the Indo-Pacific, like the United States. Do you think we're going to hear more about this need for collective security in regard to preventing a war in Asia?
I think that's just something that we don't talk about enough. A lot of Taiwan comes into play, but we also need to think about the possibility of conflict with the Philippines and China. But then, North Korea, there's a lot of discussion about why North Korea is doing what it's doing right now. Like, is it building up towards U.S. Presidential election? Is it because of the trilateral summit between China, Japan, and South Korea the other day? So there's a couple of different avenues that I think are going to be discussed, not just what's going on with China, but also with North Korea and the possibility of simultaneous conflict involving multiple players, and not sure, which conflict could spark that simultaneous conflict, in the possibility that these different partners and their different alignments are going to have to be able to coordinate in a possible future conflict.
Now, because the Asia Pacific region is so dynamic, we have developments in the South China Sea, around Taiwan, and also up in the Korean Peninsula. Aside from this dialogue, what else needs to be prioritized?
So I think that's also why it's important when we do have like multinational, multilateral exercises, that we shouldn't take for granted that we've had Taiwan have participation into those. I think the more and more that we're having these collective security type of dialogues and military exercises, there's so much discussion about the military side of it and the military hardware. It's also the discussions that are happening about just military threat perception, and trying to have greater alignment in trying to make sure that we can cooperate, especially if we have a contingency across the Taiwan Strait and we have a contingency, on the Korean Peninsula. And we should be ready for simultaneous conflict from the outset. So while we might be, organized in our different bilateral or hub and spoke alliances, conflicts don't necessarily play out that way. So we need to have continue to have. I think we're having some baby steps towards that collective security,